Year 3 for the Indianapolis Colts with head coach Shane Steichen is supposed to be the year they get over the hump and make the playoffs. Threaten the Houston Texans, who've been very good the last 2 years, for a spot as the divisional champs. Will it happen is the question, though. Of course, Jonathan Taylor is very talented. He should have run that touchdown in against, the Denver Broncos last year in what is now a heartbreaking loss. The past 2 years have been heartbreakers at the end of the season. The Texans 2 years ago in a win-all, take-all, and matchup, and then, of course, last year falling apart towards the end of the year. The Colts have been on the doorstep of the NFL postseason. They have certainly the talent on the defensive side of the ball, and now even more. Zaire Franklin is just an absolute tackle machine. They bring in the man coverage specialist in Charvarius Ward. Of course, we know about DeForest Buckner, the oak tree in the middle of that defense. Latu will make the next step. We are almost guaranteed to see that happen. The former UCLA Bruin and star Kwity Paye, of course. Kenny Moore, who's been there for so long, being a cornerstone piece of that defense. And not to just throw a whole bunch of Colts names at you, but that's what they're working with. Of course, the offensive question marks at the quarterback position. Looks like Daniel Jones is going to be the starter over Anthony Richardson. Have to see how it all plays out in training camp. I have to let you know, I'm not currently in the United States. When you watch this video, I will be in Africa. I'm recording this a couple of weeks ahead of time because I want to keep the momentum going towards the season with content. Even though I will be in Africa, going there to see the Great Migration, will be in Tanzania, Kenya for all of that, but want to make sure that I'm not mentioning people or news that you are seeing, like, why is he bringing that up? Like, we already know some storylines there. It's because this is all recorded ahead of time, and some of the news that you will know in the future, I myself do not know yet. So let's do it. 2025 regular season for the Colts. First matchup of the year is at home against the Miami Dolphins, the home opener in Miami. The biggest question there is the production with Tua Tagovailoa. Can he stay on the field? And as of now, Tyreek Hill, will he be happy staying in Miami? Certainly the price tag has made him happy enough to be one of the highest paid players at his position in NFL history, of course, and he's been talented, but it seems like he's run out of patience with the Dolphins organization. I have the Colts losing 23-19. I think that the defense is able to hold up and stop the run enough, but it's the element of speed on the perimeter of Miami that poses that huge challenge for Indianapolis, as well as inconsistency at the quarterback position, which will be a theme throughout this. Of course, in their next game at home against the Denver Broncos, this thing just gets off to the start that nobody wants to see in Indy. They lose to the Broncos as well, starting the season 0-2. Both of the losses at home at Lucas Oil Stadium. Why did they lose to the Broncos? It's because of a lack of separation. Getting away from Jahdae Barron, who locked down, who might be the best of them all at the wide receiver spot. Jeremiah Smith, I understand there was 2 or 3 guys sometimes in coverage on number 4, but against the Broncos on the other side, there's the DPOY. In Pat Surtain, of course, and the improvement that they will have on the offensive side of the ball in year 2 under Bo Nix. The question mark isn't defense for me, and they can hold up against Denver. It's on offense. Is it A.D. Mitchell? Can he make the step? He's going up against his former teammate there in Jahdae Barron. They've seen each other in practice. Can he be the breakthrough guy? Because we know about Josh Downs, Caleb Downs' older brother. We know of Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman Jr., who's been there forever, getting paid his dollars that he deserves. Who will be the guy that can separate? And I don't see one yet. 0-2 before they play a Tennessee Titans team on the road. Do you think that they get a win in this one? That they put up some points? Jonathan Taylor runs all over the place. I haven't talked about him a whole lot because still upset with him for dropping the ball instead of the touchdown. They would have beat him in that game. They had full control until that fumble. So, you just can't ever make those types of mistakes and forgive a guy unless you get to the playoffs and you make a play to make you forget about it. That's just how it works. And he has a big day against the Tennessee Titans. Doesn't absolve himself from his on-the-field crimes, but he does come up big, 34-27. They give some surprise yards to Cam Ward through the air. Calvin Ridley, I think, has a big day in this game, kind of torching maybe Kenny Moore a little bit in this one. Not to take a shot at Kenny Moore. Love his style and used to play with him a lot with in Madden, but they get a win against Tennessee. Week 4, it's just a tough matchup against the Los Angeles Rams. Why? Because the Rams have such a good young core on the defensive side of the ball, and of course the production. Again, I think that they're able to hold the Rams to 20 points. If I told you as a Colts fan or an NFL fan, if the Colts could hold the Rams at SoFi in their building to 20 points, you would have to take it. The only issue is I think they only put up only 7, whether it's Riley Leonard, Richardson, Daniel Jones, all 3 of them trotting out there to start. They are going to have fits trying to move the football against that Rams defense, which will be one of the best in football next year's start to the year. Not what you want. 1-3 for the Indianapolis Colts before they have a home game after those 2 road ones against the Las Vegas Raiders, where they do get a little bit of redemption, but the offensive side of the ball just doesn't quite click, and that's exactly what you hired Shane Steichen for, but you didn't hire Shane Steichen you wanted him to turn Anthony Richardson into the next, maybe not Lamar Jackson, but some sort of in-between mark between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, of course. The big arm. He's got the biggest arm up there with Joe Milton and Josh Allen in the sport of the football. And he's the athlete that everybody talks about. Like 6'5", 245, can jump out of the building, can throw it out of the building, can do everything. So a win against the Raiders, they can lock down Ashton Genty is exactly what I think they do, because a guy like DeForest Buckner that's just as big as a building and will be able to plug in there in the middle of that defense. They get a win to move themselves 2-4 on the year, and Brock Bowers goes off, though. This is a guy that continues, I think he gets 13, 14 targets, goes over for 120. Just they can't get it into the red zone. The Colts will be so stingy once again in the red zone. Even back to those Matt Eberflus defenses, the Colts, they locked down in a win. Was it a Sunday night win against the Chiefs? Recall that almost basically got Matt Eberflus hired there in Chicago. They had really good defenses back when Darius Leonard or Shaq, whatever you want to call him, was making some great plays. He was a fun guy to watch. 2-4 before a home game against the Cardinals, which just feels like that turning point in the year where they can get back on track, because they've got the Cardinals a interconference game at home, and they lose 24-16. This just comes down to the outside. Who is going to cover Marvin Harrison Jr.? There's a clear talent advantage that Arizona has on that side of the ball with him and working with Trey McBride that will find holes. Not that they're going to put up 1,000,000 points, but 24 enough, finding those guys, McBride in the red zone, Marvin as well, being able to matriculate down the field. And, of course, the run game productivity, and then just not enough of what they need. Maybe 1 touchdown on the day. 3 straight games is what I have. 1 against the Rams, 1 against the Raiders, and 1 against the Cardinals. And it continues to get worse after that. This 2-5 team then turns to 2-6 with only 7 points put up against Los Angeles Chargers. And I have Shane Steichen getting fired. This is probably my only coach firing prediction of the year. But I think at that point in the year, a loss there, only 1 touchdown back-to-back weeks, gets him fired. That was he was hired to do. The question mark I have for that, why would you be firing him? Rest in peace to Jim Irsay, of course, is, well, look what he's working with at the quarterback spot. They need another guy. That's why I understood the drafting of Riley Leonard. You're sucking up the hit, really, of what is Anthony Richardson, not paying Daniel Jones all that much. Next year is the year, if they were to suck, to get a great quarterback. Guess what? The Indianapolis Colts can compete within a year. They can go after the Houston Texans to be a force within that division if they got their quarterback. If they got, whether it's Lenore Sellers, Cade Klubnik, Drew Aller, one of those guys, that they could compete with Houston. I'm telling you right now, if they could be able to be 2-6 and have this happen, might not be the worst thing, because otherwise you're stuck in that in-between land, making the playoffs, wild card, but just can't get over the hump against a team because you're just at a disadvantage at the quarterback position. We're fired up because Indianapolis has a good roster. 2-6, hosting the Tennessee Titans, who will be pretty bad next year. Cam Ward, you take a quarterback high. likely going to have a weak roster. That's the way it works when you're picking first overall. They get a win, 21-16 against Tennessee, able to corral Cam Ward, not allow him to go crazy in that game. Him and his connection to Calvin Ridley, he just don't have a ton of weapons and playmakers on that team. A win for Indy before a road trip to the Steelers, and if Steichen weren't fired already, a zero burger. I think they get shut out at Pittsburgh, 34-0. The newly Aaron Rodgers led Pittsburgh, and where's it gonna come? Like Joey Porter, Patrick Queen, on the defense, Cam Hayward, Jack Sawyer from Ohio State. If you're a Riley Leonard, Notre Dame guy, as well as T.J. Watt, who you look at the numbers has been better than Myles Garrett throughout their careers, 34-0 as they fall. Then they go to Berlin, play at Olympic Stadium against the Falcons. This looks to be a good matchup, actually, but it's the same theory once again. They just can't get the points going and have them get a combined total, actually, of 5 touchdowns in 6 weeks. They lose to the Falcons 13-20. And you want to come back and run this back, be like, what was he talking about? Why is the Indy offense going to suck? I'm calling it right now. I just don't see that offense and the talent they have, especially with some of these improved defenses, even like Atlanta with James Pierce and Jalen Walker within that core. 20-13, Penix is able to hold it out. They're at the Chiefs coming off the bye week. At this point, you're thinking about draft positioning, get us a quarterback, because they get blown out by Kansas City. What else do you expect? The touchdown streak continues with not getting a whole lot. They lose to the Chiefs. Playing the Texans, of course, it's tough, and even tougher is if you're 3-8 and you got to play the Houston Texans 2 times in the last 6 weeks to end the season. This is going to be one of the better performances. It's going to come out of left field and absolutely just shock people. But we get to see a bit more offense from Indianapolis, and they have a close, tight loss at home against the Houston Texans. A lot of times when you play your rival, you throw out the records and you go out and you play football. Maybe Riley Leonard gets a start in this game and he plays his friggin' guts out, and they end up losing to a great Texans team. Jaden Higgins, Nico Collins, Dell coming back if he's healthy, and then that defense, oh my gosh, with Stingley and Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, and Kamari Lassiter, Bullock, they are so loaded, both sides of the football, continuing to improve. They drop that, go to 3-9 before on the road against the Jaguars. I'm going to break your hearts here in a second about the quarterback, because they're going to be a couple of wins later on in the year that are going to make people mad and put them in that in-between zone. But a loss against the Jaguars, dropping them to 3-10 on the year at Jacksonville. Everyone wants to talk about Travis Hunter. I'll talk about Brian Thomas, one of the better wide receivers from a season ago. Put him up there in terms of the productivity of what Malik Nabers had, arguably outperforming Malik Nabers on what was a bad Jacksonville team. He's going to make Travis Hunter all the more better, and they drop 26 points, a 26-20 win for Jacksonville, and the Colts drop to 3-10 on the year before they are facing the Seattle Seahawks on the road, Lumen Field, 12th man, and all of that. The Colts get a win on the road, 26-20. At this point, I think it will be Riley Leonard at the helm. Will it be Jalen Milroe for Seattle? Can't predict the future. Probably can't predict some of the guys I'll be talking about that might not even be playing this year that I say they will, because I'm recording this video in advance to remember. But a win, moving them to 4-10 on the season, doesn't stop there. San Francisco 49ers are a down team, in my opinion, next year. A win against San Fran, 27-23. The offense is clicking. Maybe it's Richardson or Leonard or Daniel Jones. Someone is putting it together. They could have that surge from the interim head coach. All the messages relaying on this team not caring about the draft position. And they get to the record of 5-10 with things going the right way. A couple of wins against teams that aren't very at the top of the elite stages of the sports, against winnable matchups for them. And San Francisco, like Brock Purdy, throughout the year, what is he going to be when the talent, the car that he is driving is not the Ferrari it has been in the past? It's brought a little bit back down to earth, especially in the sense of defense. If the defense is giving up more points and Brock Purdy has to win games scoring more than 27 or 28, getting 4 touchdowns plus, Can he be that guy? That's not what they are built to do. So a 5-10 Colts team at home against the Jaguars, and they get a win. 19-14. The defense holds tough. Buckner still fighting in there. Kenny Moore, all of those guys still fighting. Latu closing in. He's got about 10 sacks on the season to my predictions. 19-14. They pull it out against Trevor Lawrence and a Jacksonville team that isn't very good either. It all caps off a 6-10 Colts team that at one point was 3-10, competing for the number 1 overall pick, or a top 5 in the race for a quarterback of the future. Thought it was Richardson, maybe it's not now. And they have the Texans on the road to culminate in a loss 30-20 to end the season 6-11. The disappointment is for real, as people think that one of these quarterbacks will be the breakthrough. I don't understand it. What makes sense to, I would think, Colts fans is that, like, we have a quarterback controversy, and honestly, none of them are all that good. Are any of them better than CJ Stroud or Justin Herbert? Are any of these guys better than even Trevor Lawrence, for the matter of fact, that we're trotting out there that we confidently have? Do we have a duo that is close remotely to, like, the Thomas or Travis Hunter or Collins and all of those guys for Houston, or a lot of these teams that have great duos? So the Indianapolis Colts will end up firing their coach. Hopefully he gets another year, in my opinion, to develop a quarterback, bring out with him. Or if they fire him, they would bring out a new coach to hire with another quarterback. But if they're 6-11 and you're picking like 10, 11, I just feel like Drew Aller would be such a fit. It's like the blue and white, like the colors stay there. I feel like that's a great match for him. But if they fall far enough, they might have to trade up and give up capital for the future. So we'll see how Taylor runs the football. Think that he will have good fantasy production, but as far as the passing game goes, it's not looking great for Indianapolis and the Colts this year. So let me know in the comments whether I am overreacting to some of the struggles and what the Colts are looking like for next year. Tear me apart. Tell me I'm a genius. Let me know what you think. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content in the future. And I will see you next time with more Blitz with Blinder content. Take care.
Best player in college football.
That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic.
Josh Blunder. Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Blunder.
To the 40, 35, 30, Espinosa to the 20.